We have the bodies, we have the debris, and we have the craft. There was about a 30-foot diameter dish-shaped craft tipped up at about a 35-degree angle. It had a low-rise dome on top. The level of credibility that these witnesses come with is absolutely staggering. It is really, Billy, the final curtain call on UFO crash retrievals. This is the final curtain call because
Michael Schratt is a distinguished private pilot and renowned military aerospace historian. He has captivated audiences worldwide with his compelling lectures on the enigmatic world of mystery aircraft and the classified propulsion systems hidden within the shadowy depths of the military-industrial complex. Over the years, Michael has forged invaluable connections with individuals directly involved in classified black budget programs, including former U.S. Air Force pilots, retired Navy personnel, and aerospace engineers with top secret, sensitive compartmented information clearances. These firsthand accounts have fueled his mission to shed light on government mismanagement, fraud, and the misuse of resources. Driven by a commitment to transparency and accountability, Michael dedicates countless hours to meticulously researching aerospace technical documents, conducting in-depth interviews, and delving into the archives of leading universities. He passionately believes that it's every citizen's constitutional duty to question authority, demand transparency, and hold special access programs, often hidden from congressional oversight and public awareness, accountable to the people. Michael Schratt's unwavering dedication to uncovering the truth makes him a poignant figure in the fight for government accountability and disclosure of advanced aerospace technologies. Welcome to the show, Michael Schratt. How are you doing, man?
It's good to be with you, Billy. Good to be with you.
Yes, it's amazing. It's been a long time coming. I've been wanting to talk to you for so many years on a podcast. Based on your research, do you think that aerospace contractors are involved in reverse engineering any UFO technology?
Well, that's kind of a $64 million question, right? How do we prove that? And the way that I think goes a long way to getting to some of the answers is what we'll be covering tonight. It's the preponderance of evidence that the first-hand military witnesses are telling us. People that held the bodies, people that loaded these craft onto 18-wheeler tractor-trailer lowboy trucks and shipped them to Wright-Patterson Air Force Base. People that were pathologists, people who worked on X-ray technician reports. What they're telling us as a full body of witnesses, they're telling us that craft have been retrieved, they've reversed in the technology, they have built quote-unquote replicas based on the original, and that's what we want to talk about tonight. Beautiful, beautiful. So, hey man, without further ado, let's get to it because, you have a lot to share. So let's share some of this compelling evidence that you have. Okay. Yeah. So the title of this lecture is called Retrievals of the Third Kind, Cosmic Crashes, Corpses, and Cover-Ups. And what this is, it is an homage to Leonard Stringfield. That's essentially what this is all about here. And I want to make sure that we're advancing okay. So we're advancing to the next slide, okay?
Yes.
Okay, good. Okay, so UFO crash retrievals, the ultimate holy grail of UFO research. Now, why do we call it the ultimate holy grail of UFO research? If you think about it, it's actually easy because it is the UFO crash retrievals, which will be the vehicle that facilitates disclosure. This is what's going to do it because we have the bodies, we have the debris, and we have the craft all wrapped up into the UFO crash retrievals. And here's where we're standing right now in 2024. At this late part of the game here in 2024, it is really, Billy, the final curtain call on UFO crash retrievals. This is the final curtain call because we are timing out all the legacy witnesses. There are no longer any 509th Bomb Group witnesses anymore from Roswell Army Airfield. They're all gone. And you can see what the government is trying to do is they're trying to make anything prior to 2006 disappear. And then the recent UAP legislation disclosure acts, those things have been axed by the defense contractors. So they're trying to kick the can down the road and they're trying to time out the legacy witnesses. But we won't do that because as a group and united coalition of researchers, it is really it's the heart of a crusader that's the strongest thing. I don't know if they counted on that, but we won't let them get away with it. That's the bottom line. Let's continue on here. A couple of quick announcements. The content of each case highlighted in this presentation has remained intact for the description of the original source. The identity of first-hand sources will be protected per Leonard Stringfield's original agreement with his military contacts. Number 3, the visual aids used in this presentation are computer-generated forensic composite illustrations and sketches which originated from the specific details provided by Leonard's sources. Now, here is where he got all his information here. The caliber of witnesses, 3-star U.S. Air Force generals, U.S. Air Force fighter pilots, astronauts, commercial pilots, air traffic controllers, neurosurgeons, pathologists, theoretical physicists and mathematicians, U.S. Army officers, U.S. Navy officers, military police, high-level Pentagon officials, top military brass, scientists and engineers who worked at Wright-Patterson Air Force Base and other government facilities. So, Billy, here you can see the level of credibility that these witnesses come with is absolutely staggering. Let's continue on. A couple of quick quotes. Number 1, UFO crash retrievals can't be real because if they were, I would have read about it in the local newspaper. That's number 1. Number 2, there are not now nor ever have been any extraterrestrial visitors or equipment on Wright-Patterson Air Force Base. Now, this is their official U.S. Air Force press release as of July 1980. So what we're going to do in this presentation is we are going to take Leonard Stringfield's combined united voice of first-hand military witnesses, and we're going to go up against the United States Air Force, and we're going to see who comes out on top here. Now, this is the man of the hour. This is UFO crash retrieval expert Leonard Stringfield. I want to introduce everyone to Leonard Stringfield. He was the gentleman who coined the term UFO crash retrieval, and over this 30-year time period, he collected dozens and dozens of these military witnesses. They had come to him because he promised to keep their names under wraps, and he did all the way till he passed away. And so they felt safe coming to Leonard with their stories. Now, we're talking about people who loaded these craft onto tractor trailers and shipped them to Wright Field, Dayton, Ohio, later to become Wright-Patterson Air Force Base. People who were autopsying these, medical doctors, pathologists. Those are the type of people that came to Leonard. So we want to talk a little bit about his bio here. Leonard Stringfield was born 1920. He grew up in Cincinnati, Ohio. By the time he graduated from high school in 1939, he had already memorized the entire dictionary, believe it or not. This is the kind of guy that you want to have compiling all these accounts. I mean, he was such a genius that they actually gave him a nickname. They called him Webster. Well, that's how smart this guy was. Okay. He joined the military as soon as he heard about the attack on Pearl Harbor on December 7th, 1941. After the war, he was employed by a chemical company in Ohio and retired after 30 years. Leonard served as director of the world's largest UFO research group in the mid-1950s, Civilian Research Interplanetary Flying Objects, CRIFO. He received 8,000 letters in its first 2 weeks of existence. I thought that was interesting. Leonard wrote 2 books, Inside Saucer Post 3-0, 1957, Situation Red, The UFO Siege, 1977. Now, Billy, the next bullet item is the one that we want to drill down on here. His lecture on UFO crash retrievals at the 1978 MUFON Symposium in Dayton, Ohio, caused an international sensation. Now, why is that? Okay, here's the 2 reasons why. Number 1, the whole concept of UFO crash retrievals was just barely coming onto the radar screen back at that time. Roswell was just getting traction. And then number 2 is when Leonard delivered his paper, Retrievals of the Third Kind, he highlighted 12 of his firsthand military witnesses. But the agreement was that he could preserve an important part of our national history, but the names had to be kept under wraps. So there was some pushback here because there was no way to independently verify what Leonard was reporting here. So there absolutely was some pushback at the 1978 MUFON Symposium. Leonard passed away December 18th, 1994. Let's continue on. So this is the question we want to ask here. What was the one event that sparked Leonard's interest in UFOs, which ultimately changed the course of his entire life? What was the one event? Well, on August 30th, 1945, Leonard had a Foo Fighters sighting from inside a twin-engine C-47 while traveling from Okinawa to Iwo Jima. So it's 1945. They're going to Iwo Jima. They see 3 Foo Fighters off the wing. One of the engines on the twin-engine C-47 conked out, and they thought they were going to have to ditch in the Pacific. Now, when this thing peeled away, engine came back on, they landed safely. But it made an impression in his mind forever. That was the instigation and originating point for all of this here. So we can back that up by this newspaper clipping. Newcastle Sun, January 3rd, 1945. Foo Fighters are latest. Washington, Tuesday. Pilots flying over Germany at night report the strange balls of fire are following them around on their missions. They have christened these strange phenomenon Foo Fighters, so we know that checks out. Cincinnati Enquirer, July 19th, 1993. Author continues quest for truth about UFOs. What I've collected has staggering implications for mankind. This would be the biggest thing since Christ, really. So that's a bold statement he's making here. It is a bold statement. However, if even one of these cases is authentic, yes, it would be the biggest thing. It's absolutely incredible. Let's continue on here. Now, at one time, there was a collection of 22 bank boxes of original drawings, illustrations, sketches, detailed drawings, testimony, phone numbers, addresses, dates of all of these firsthand military witnesses. This is the kind of evidence that should be brought into open congressional hearings in Washington, D.C. This is exactly what we're looking for. It is the Rosetta Stone of ufology. This is absolutely the material here. Okay, now, I want to highlight this book, UFO Crash Retrievals, The Complete Investigation Status Reports 1 through 7 by Leonard Stringfield. The reason why I want to highlight this is because everything that we're going to be talking about tonight comes through this book. So I want to reference this. I'm going to give everyone the page number, the case number, so that they can verify this on their own. Now, a couple of quick points. When you go through this publication, which is about 2.5 inches thick, it is not for the faint of heart. You really have to have an interest in this kind of subject. You need to be, someone who has a passion for this because it's very text intensive. There are no drawings, there are no sketches, there are no illustrations. And so I thought, someone needs to go through this book with a fine-tooth comb, pick out the mission-critical cases, commit those to a refined drawing, use that as a guide or a template for the generation of a full-color 3D rendering. And so that's been my crusade over the last 4 years to preserve an important part of our national history. Now, another publication that is recommended is Magic Eyes Only by Ryan Wood, Earth's Extraterrestrial Encounters with Extraterrestrial Technology. Now, he wrote this book about 20 years ago. He updated it with 104 crash retrieval cases. If we link that up with Leonard's 119 crash retrieval cases, now we've got a very good body of evidence to draw from here. Papagos Indian Reservation, west of Globe, Arizona, January 1947. Our witness served in the U.S. Navy during World War II. The reference for this is page 93, case A10 in Letters publication. We're going to go to the next slide here. So we've got 2 military personnel. They're driving west of Globe, Arizona on this unimproved road, and they are stopped and challenged by military police with rifles telling them that you're not supposed to be out in this area at all. This is a highly restricted area. You're not supposed to be here. However, it was already too late because another 50 foot down this road, there was about a 30-foot diameter dish-shaped craft tipped up at about a 35-degree angle. It had a low-rise dome on top. It had 2 rings wrapped around the outer circumference of the craft itself. And then Billy said in the report, there was what looked like indented windows that were also wrapped around the outer circumference. So we wanted to take this drawing as a template or guide. I'm going to go to the next slide, and this is our full color rendering. And as we go through these slides, you can kind of see that the body count goes up the craft count goes up, and it just keeps on going from there. Now, I have a side project that I like to do. Not only do I like to track down the craft and the bodies, I want to know what happened to the debris. What happened to the hardware? So in this report, within the Stringfield Dictation Notes Files collection, there is a source that talks about something that I thought was very interesting. This source mentions a company called Foot Brothers Gear and Machine Company. So I'm going to just hit everybody with this. According to Mr. Robert Helmold, Foot Brothers Gear and Machine Company of Chicago conducted metallurgical analysis on pieces from a flying saucer that crashed in Arizona back in 1947. So I thought, I want to know what this company does. I want to dig down. I want to see what these guys actually build here.
Yeah.
So here is Chicago Tribune, January 15th, 1955. It says it makes gears as large as 21 feet in diameter and weighing 45,000 pounds, and others small enough to put on a watch chain. Its gears are found on airplanes of all types, including jets and helicopters. In a year, it will make thousands of different gears for use by industry. So if you think about what's going on here, we've got a source talking about a retrieval operation in Arizona, and they're using Foot Brothers Gear and Machine Company to analyze the debris. Okay, so if they actually did recover something and elements of the military saw what looked like an arc radius with teeth on it that reminded them of a gear, this is the company they would take it to. Absolutely. This company is checking all the boxes here. Hendricks Commercial Register, 1909. You see the photo here, the size of the gears that these guys work on. So it's checking the boxes. We'll do one more. The Purchasing Agent, May 1923. So absolutely, this is checking the boxes. You would want to send hardware, debris, anything that might look like a gear section. Absolutely, it would go to this place for analysis. Okay, White Sands Missile Range, July 4th, 1947. Our source is a technical sergeant, U.S. Army Air Force. The reference is page 196 in Leonard's book. Now, what you're looking at here is a slide showing you the yellow boundary of White Sands Missile Range. Where this took place was on the northern part of the range, and I'm going to go to the next slide. This actually took place at night, and what came down was about a 150-foot diameter dish-shaped craft, and when it came down, this thing was excruciatingly well lit. So this was a nighttime retrieval operation. They had light owls shining on this thing. They had spotlights. They had searchlights. They had people with Geiger counters walking around this craft. This is from the military witnesses of the Leonard Stringfield collection. They had people with still cameras shooting away, taking pictures. They had other people with motion picture film cameras documenting this whole process. Okay, we're going to go to the next slide. Let's see if we can make this thing come alive here. And now you see the spotlights, the searchlights on this thing. Very interesting. This thing was 150 feet in diameter. Now, what is the actionable item? What is the takeaway on this particular case? Here's the actionable item. Since still photography and motion picture film was recorded of this event, senators and congressmen with the appropriate security clearances should track down and utilize this evidence for future public hearings. That's what needs to happen. However, Billy, as you know, the problem we're running into here is a lot of these senators and congressmen within Washington, D.C., they don't have a high enough security clearance and they don't have a need to know. So we're running up to this brick wall every time. And we really got to push through this. And that's why it's incumbent upon us to track down these legacy witnesses here.
If you like this video and you want to see more amazing content, go ahead and check out the next video on our channel.